The Kremlin has been stepping up its attacks on political dissidents in Russia, targeting high-profile opposition leaders with criminal trials. The newspaper publisher and Kremlin critic Alexander Lebedev is facing charges of hooliganism, which could land him in jail. And just a few days ago, a key opposition leader was banned from leaving Moscow after a pro-Kremlin TV station accused him of plotting a violent uprising. Anti-Putin parties say the crackdown crippled their chances at regional elections earlier this month, as Moscow correspondent Norman Humont reports.
When Russians voted in regional elections across the country, it was supposed to be an opportunity for the fledgling opposition. Instead, it was a disaster. In thousands of races, the ruling United Russia Party steamrolled to victory. Voter turnout averaged just 25%. Even well-known opposition leaders, like environmental campaigner Yevgenia Chirikova, running for mayor outside of Moscow, lost badly.
We are both resisting this system and the system of people who came with an objective to steal. They will certainly not abandon their power just like that.
The election collapse is just another setback for the opposition. One by one, its leaders are being charged in criminal cases, and other irritants are also getting special attention from the state. With his business interests already under investigation, Alexander Lebedev, publisher of The Independent in Britain and majority owner of the respected Novaya Gazeta here, is now facing criminal charges over this TV punch-up that took place more than a year ago. He's accused of hooliganism motivated by hatred, the same charge leveled against Pussy Riot, and he faces up to 5 years in jail.
I mean, it's just completely absurd. It's just, if I see somebody in the street, in the metro, and something goes in between the two persons, why would you come up with this accusation? Because it's heavy, because it's threatening, because it implies for me probably being put to jail, at least like a couple of years, like a Pussy Riot case.
Opposition leader and blogger Alexei Navalny got the same treatment this summer, charged with corruption. And now Sergei Udaltsov is also facing trial after a so-called expose by the Kremlin-controlled NTV network. Earlier this month, it ran a story alleging he met officials from Georgia to plan terrorist attacks.
Sergei Udaltsov.
Sergei Udaltsov is just the latest opposition figure to be targeted by the network. In fact, it's gained a reputation of sorts. If the Kremlin wants to hurl accusations before an audience of millions on broadcast television, NTV does the dirty work.
It's made attacks on the opposition its specialty, with programs alleging protest leaders are foreign agents funded by European and American interests. And while NTV has carte blanche, it's a very different story for what's left of the independent broadcast media. Sovsekretna channel is tiny, just one studio, but it reaches an audience of up to 15 million viewers. Russia's biggest cable operator, owned by the government, has cancelled its contract. It's now scrambling to stay on the air.
Everybody knows that in Russia, television is ruled by the government. But we thought that only big federal channels are. But now cable channels also, maybe they don't like it.
Independent media, opposition leaders, democratic reforms. The gains of last winter's huge protests, say critics, have steadily been erased by the Kremlin, and much of the Russian public either doesn't know or doesn't care.
We are talking about they are completely passive. We are taught to be passive, not to challenge the authorities, and to date nobody knows how to change this situation.
Don't let the occasional protest fool you, says Alexander Lebedev. Vladimir Putin enjoys almost unfettered power.
There is no way you can say that a real opposition as a united front exists in this country. So we have Putin and his vertical of power without opposition. That means you only have the vertical, which is, say, 1 million bureaucracy, plus a couple of million of military and police, etc. How it's going to work efficiently? Just tell me. I don't see how, because the result would be a disaster.
It's too much power, too much control, he says, for one leader. Just half a year ago, it seemed everything might change. No longer. Norman Hermont, Laidline.